Hi, today I'm going to do the look that I did on Kylie Minogue for the January cover of LUK. It was a look that when I put it on my blog, lots of people thought it was lovely and wanted to see a tutorial of it. And it's kind of a classic rose look. It's quite a sort of fresh and romantic makeup, which would be ideal for a date or a prom or a wedding, anything like that. And it suits lots of different people. The pictures are on the gallery section of my website, so if you want to go and have a look, they're in the celebrity section, so you can see all the shots and have a closer look at the makeup. But Kylie had a really peroxide blonde wig on for the shoot, and obviously I've got dark hair, but it's one of those looks that definitely works on different skin tones and different hair colours and things. So I think it's a good look for lots of people. So I've already started my base, and what I've used is the BB cream from Garnier, and this is the one for oily and combination skin because I'm quite spotty at the moment. And what I've done is I've just used it all down my T-zone because my cheeks are a little bit dry. They still need a bit of coverage, but I'm not going to use this because it is definitely more for an oily skin. I'm going to just put a little bit more on top actually in those areas. I really like this. Well, it's kind of like a tinted moisturiser really, but it has really good coverage. And because it's aimed really at oily and combination skin, it's not too shiny, it stays quite matte. Use that all down the centre. I've got a bit of a cold at the moment, so around my nose is a bit red. So use that all around my chin, all around my nose, and all around the centre of my forehead. Now it's a very highlighty look and very sort of shimmery and fresh on the skin. So I'm going to use Éclat Miracle by Lancome, and I'm going to use that all around this area. So I haven't really got any foundation or anything on this sort of outside of my face yet, and it's quite dry really compared to my T-zone. So it's sort of, sometimes if you've got very, very different, very, very oily T-zone and, very dry cheeks, sometimes you do have to use different things in different areas because one foundation can't really give you everything if you've got quite different skin. So just using that onto the cheeks. I am going to have to use a little bit of concealer just in any little marks and things that I have around that area. But before I do that, I'm going to use this under eye concealer pen, and this is by Collection 2000. This is slightly more drying than some of the more moisturising ones like the Clinique one that I normally use. But it's very long lasting, so good if you're a little bit oily around underneath your eyes and you tend to find that they crease a lot. I'm also going to use a little bit of the pen in any dark areas just around the sides of my mouth, just to get that lovely flawless base. Next I'm going to use some concealer. I'm going to use Boi-ing by Benefit, giving my Secret Camouflage a day off. This is their Industrial Strength Concealer. So particularly in the areas that I haven't used the BB cream, so it's sort of round the edges here. Need a little bit just to even out and cover a few marks and things. So I've ended up with something of a patchwork quilt of base, but it's going to be right for my skin now. I've got the sort of oil absorbing BB down the centre, this very sort of highlightery look, quite moisturising around the sides, and then a mixture of light reflection and industrial strength concealer on the spot. So it's a bit sort of all over the place, but the end result is that hopefully I don't really look like I'm wearing any makeup on my skin. It looks very natural, but all the different concerns of my skin are being met. Okay, so concealed. I'm going to use a touch of powder, but I'm not going to need it down the T-zone because this is very mattifying, this BB cream. But I have done a little bit of concealing which I need to set. So onto eyes, I'm going to just put a little bit of primer. This is the NARS Pro Prime onto my eyelids before I start. And the eye look rather was just very pinky and very sort of fresh, but quite defined. You can use any pink shades you like. Everyone makes sort of pinky tones. I'm going to use some of these pinks from this big e.l.f. palette, these sort of rosy tones in the middle, and also probably a light grey, but you can use whatever you've got at home. And that's the case for all of my videos. I know I've said this before, I just want to reiterate, you don't need to use exactly the products that I'm using. you know, a brown eyeshadow is a brown eyeshadow, and so on and so forth. We all have our favourite brands, but when it comes to eyeshadow, I think you can sort of have a little bit of artistic license and use whatever you have to hand. So I'm going to go all over with this quite light pink shade. So that's the light pink all over. I'm going to use a slightly deeper pink now, just coming into the socket area and around the outside. When it comes to pink eyeshadows, if you're very red and blotchy, you need to conceal all of that before you use any pinks. Fair skinned people can use pinks well, but I think if you are kind of, you have a lot of red in your skin, you'll need to neutralise that first and conceal all the redness from around your eyes, and then you can sort of wear a pink. But if you leave that all in, it just sort of emphasises and makes the red areas look redder in a way, and it ends up looking like rabbit eyes, looking sore. So you really do need to do a really good evening out and concealing job before you start. You can slightly increase the intensity of the pinks with a darker skin tone, but I think you still want to keep it light, because this look was definitely all about a sort of fresh lightness. Using the same palette, I'm going to use one of these silvery grey colours here. Any sort of light silvery grey colour, just to do a little bit of work in the socket line. It's going to dip back in with the pink over the top of it at the outer edge there, so we don't lose our little pinkiness that's going on. And before we do anything else, I'm going to crack on with the liner and the lashes. For liner, I'm going to use the Bobbi Brown gel in Granite ink, because I was looking for a cheaper alternative, but quite hard to find really good greys in the gel liners that are drugstore. So I really like the colour of this one, and it's I used a grey, so I want to stick with that. So I'm just going to work all along the lash line, right into the inner corner. Keep it nice and thin at the inner corner and build up. I'm going to be putting some lashes on, so this will be a base for them. Before I put my lashes on, I'm going to give my eyelashes a really good curl and use Dolly Wink mascara. This is a volumizing mascara in black, and this is something that I like to buy when I'm in Asia, because they don't sell it over here, and it's great. And I love the brush of this mascara because it has like a little small bit on the end, sort of round, suddenly gets a little pointy bit for underneath. And for my lashes, I'm going to use Ardell's Demi Wispies, which are kind of my favourite lashes if you want that very feathery look. I'm just going to drop them on right down at the roots because I've already curled my lashes. So I just want to sit them on top. So I just trimmed at the inner corner. I took a couple of hairs off because personally I don't like them when they go right into the inner corner. They sort of stab you a little bit. And I think it sort of looks nicer when the featheriness starts a little bit away from the inner corner. So while the glue's drying, I'm going to use the Gosh Eyebrow palette. I'm using the grey shade in a sort of lighter brown. I'm not going to be able to make my brows look like Kylie's because hers were a lot lighter. So I'd need to bleach mine if I was going to exactly replicate the look. So I'm just going to go back into the liner and smooth it out because obviously the glue is now starting to dry and I need to smooth that all out. Then I'm going to use a tiny amount of a beige tone pencil just in the centre on both eyes, just to keep that nice and wide open, and a touch of the greyish colour that I used into the socket line, but only dotted really along there. And to finish off, I'm just going to use a whitish colour over the top, just to tap on there. I don't want it really shimmery, but just a touch. On to blush, I'm going to use a pink from Bourjois, and this was done in quite a sort of sculptural way. You could also, if you wanted to, do a little bit of very subtle contouring, but I'm just going to do a gentle C shape with the blusher. And for my lips, I'm going to start by using a lip pencil because Kylie's got amazing lips, really full and beautiful. And I did really emphasise that. So I'm just going to slightly overdraw, but not that you'd notice. And for the lips, I'm using Revlon Pink Pout, which is one of their matte lipsticks. And it's quite pale and pouty, really. It's a little bit blue on me, so I'm going to pop over the top of it with Classic Rose, No. 7 colour. Hardly any, just to warm that up a fraction. I'm going to finish off by using some highlighter. This is a YSL one, but it was a Christmas limited edition, but it's very, very pale with a pink pearl. There are lots of brands that have this kind of thing. I'm just going to dust over the top of my cheeks with this. Just adds a little bit more pinky sheen. And the same on the inside of the eyes, a little bit of shine. That's just the brush I used earlier with the pinks. A little bit on the top of the lip and a little bit there. So that's the finished look, and it's a slightly customised version of what I did for Kylie Minogue for the cover of Elle. I've gone slightly longer and a bit more feathery, I guess, with the lashes. It's quite classic as well, so it's good for lots of occasions, or maybe if you just feel like being very girly. So I hope you like it.